Continuing our discussions on the For the 99.5% Act, there are sweeping changes on the horizon potentially for trusts that are exempt from the Generation Skipping Transfer Tax, or the GST tax. So the Act, if enacted, will impose a maximum 50-year term on a GST-exempt trust, including trusts that already exist, with the 50-year term running from the date of enactment. At the end of that 50-year term, the trust must terminate if it hasn't already done so. Now, what's unclear is how we define termination. Is it a state law termination, which requires an outright distribution or presently exercisable general power of appointment, or is it simply a termination of the GST exempt status? We don't know, but we're going to assume it's the latter. So at the end, I will discuss a back of napkin approach as to how we might approach GST tax planning in the future, predicated on this definition of termination. I'm Griffin Bridgers, and this is 10 Minutes with Griffin. For today's episode 176, continuing our discussion of the For the 99.5% Act, we're going to look at Part 4 and talk about the new proposed max term for GST-exempt trusts. Now, as always, this presentation is not intended to substitute for legal or tax advice and is provided for educational purposes only. And if you would like a copy of these slides, please email me at griffin.bridgers@gmail.com. Now on to our presentation. So as you may or may not know, especially based on my last few topical discussions, Bernie Sanders has introduced the For the 99.5% Act, which gives us a snapshot of what might be coming down the pike in terms of estate, gift, and GST tax reform. Now, while there is a remote chance of this passing untouched in its current form, it's important to consider what might be coming down the pike in terms of reforms so that we can appropriately respond in our planning. So today's discussion is about the effect on, I've talked about this in a number of previous episodes, but we really have two types of trusts that can be classified as a GST exempt trust. So generally it's going to be an irrevocable trust that falls into one of two camps. Either it's an old trust that existed before the GST tax was enacted, which I think was September 21 of 1985 or September 18, somewhere around there. I don't have the exact date in front of me. But that type of trust is known as a grandfathered GST trust. Now, what we also have is an irrevocable trust that was created after that, but has a GST inclusion ratio of 0, meaning that enough GST exemption was applied to that trust at the time of funding to create a 0% GST tax on both the upfront value and the future growth. Now, once a GST trust is exempt, it can remain exempt indefinitely, and that's what's known as a dynasty trust, where it retains that exempt status no matter how large it grows. And generally, that exempt status goes on until one of the following happens. One, an interest is shifted to a lower generation in a way where, for tax purposes, they're going to be the owners of that interest. Another thing that could happen is that the perpetuities period for that trust is extended. Once that happens, then the GST exemption is lost or reset. And then finally, if the GST trust becomes subject to gift or estate tax at some other point in the future, other than generally with a marital trust that has a reverse Q-tip election in place, then at that point, the GST exemption is reset based on the exemption of whoever was subject to gift or estate tax, unless they elected out of automatic allocation at the time. So all that being said, that's background, and I want you to remember this bottom point. How does GST exempt status terminate? Because that's going to have some significance in this change, because what this act is going to do is it's going to impose a maximum term on the GST exempt status of the trust of 50 years, unless the trust terminates sooner, in which case it's not subject to that. Now, what is inherent in this and unstated is this definition of termination. So either way, at the end of the 50 years, if the trust is not already terminated, the GST trust's inclusion ratio will reset from 0 or a higher amount up to 1, meaning there'd be a full rate on the transfer, which could be 45% plus, depending on changes under the Act to the other base gift and estate tax rates. Now, for existing trusts, including grandfathered trusts, the 50-year clock will start running on the date that this is enacted. And for pour-over trusts, if, for example, you have a decanting from an old trust to a new trust, the 50 years will start at the earlier date of creation between the two trusts as well. Now, that would have already been problematic if the rule against perpetuities had been reset between old and new trusts. So in that case, you would have had a termination of the exempt status previously, but for most decantings and other types of pour-overs, you're going to see this be a rule where you can't necessarily do that to reset this 50-year period and start the clock running again. Now, at the end of that 50 years, it's mandated that the trust terminate. Now, what's unstated, as I mentioned, is this definition of termination of the trust, because that's going to determine our planning environment going forward. Now, we don't know what form of termination do we have. In the best case, we simply have a termination of the GST exempt status. So nothing changes within the trust itself unless you want it to. In other words, the beneficiaries don't have outright access to the trust assets through a distribution or otherwise. The assets are still subject to the discretion of a trustee, with the only difference being that distributions now to a skip person would be subject to GST tax. Now, in the worst case, what this is going to mandate is some level of state law termination requiring either an outright distribution or the grant of a presently exercisable general power of appointment. Now, in either of those cases, this has significance from a non-tax perspective because it removes asset protection for that trust. A lot of the planning that's taken place in the last few decades has really emphasized asset protection and the fact that once toothpaste is out of the tube, you can't put it back in. Well, guess what? The minute we have a termination, if it's this bad one where there has to be an outright distribution or where the beneficiary has the full right to take all the toothpaste out, that asset protection goes away. It's as if the toothpaste is out of the tube at that point and is no longer protected. Now, we're going to assume that it's a simple termination of GST exempt status. So the significance of this going forward is that we'll have to be more intentional than we already are about harvesting the unused GST tax exemption of all beneficiaries. So as I mentioned, that's already being done on a certain extent, on a certain level, but the challenge now will be doing so during life potential. 50-year clock runs and ends during the life of a beneficiary. The problem is that in order to apply a beneficiary's GST tax exemption, we either have to have a gift or estate tax concurrently apply. So to apply exemption during lifetime of a beneficiary, gift tax. And what we're going to have under the Act here is our lifetime gift tax exclusion of $1 million and a lower annual exclusion of 2x per donor for a number of transfers which would traditionally use that GST exemption or would qualify for it. So it's going to be much harder to plan for this during life, so you may still have to look at ways to plan at death for what happens with a beneficiary's unused GST exemption and how it can be applied. So we're going to assume for this back of the napkin solution, I'm not saying this would work or not work, but we'd have a traditional structure where maybe decedent died, created equal shares for children. So in this case, we're just dealing with one trust share. It's created for a child of decedent and for that child's descendants. So that's a common type of structure. At some point down the road, 50 years after the decedent's death, the exemption, the GST exempt status of this trust is going to go away. So you have to look to whether that happens during the child's life or if the child dies before the 50-year period. So if the 50 years runs during the child's life, you're going to have to probably switch it over to be administered in full or in part as a GST non-exempt trust. So from that point on to the child's descendants, you'd have to look at maybe making tax-free distributions like direct payment distributions for the health and education of those descendants who are skip persons. And then you'd have a period of time where it's just simply a non-exempt trust. And then down the road, at the child's death, the child could have a testamentary general power of appointment equal to their unused GST exemption at death. Because remember, it would be harder to do this during life because you're looking at the difference between a $1 million gift exclusion or a $3.5 million estate and GST tax exclusion for transfers at death. And then that would create a new 50-year period for a fraction of the trust to which the child could apply their own GST tax exemption. Now, we looked at what happens if the 50 years runs during the child's life. Now, if the child dies before the 50-year period, this may actually be worse because we have some inefficiencies here. And what we'd have to do in that case is maybe divide into two trusts. We'd have a kind of a Generation 1 exempt trust where the child's unused GST exemption could be applied on a fractional basis like we proposed in the previous example. That would reset a new 50-year period. And we might have a wasting of some of the original 50-year period there. And then you'd have a G2 exempt trust that might run for the balance of the original 50-year period, and then switch over to either a health and education trust or just simply take the taxable termination hit at the end of that 50-year period. So that's just back of the napkin, no way of knowing whether that would be accurate or whether these would work, but that just kind of shows you what type of GST tax planning might be needed in the future. Now, as always, if you have questions or topic suggestions, you can email those to me at griffin.bridgers@gmail.com. But thank you for listening to this episode of 10 Minutes with Griffin, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.